Okay, so this is output design. Output design is how production of an on-screen reports and behavior-based reports will occur. This is pretty much a way of output design, and it shows summaries of information. There are 5 guidelines to output design. So audience, table, diagrams and graphics, layout, timing, and accessibility. So the first guideline, audience, is based on 4 things. Complexity of output, so it shouldn't be too complex to who the audience is. So if it's an expert, it can be quite complex, but if it's someone who just needs an overview, it should be quite simple. The sources should be reliable. You don't want to give audience false or incorrect information. Um, you got internal, external, and turnarounds, which is different ways of presenting data in an organization. So internal is the output produced for the audience within the organization. External is a type of output produced for the audience outside the organization, and turnaround is output produced for the external audience, where it's expected that they will add data to it and edit it and then return it back to the organization. So the next guideline is tables, diagrams and graphs. These are usually made in spreadsheets such as Excel, because Excel is this kind of software which produces these types of graphs and tables correctly. The purpose for it is just to summarize it, and depending on different jobs is how it will be summarized. So for managers, they just want a whole overview, not too much information, quite simple. But for employees, it'd be more specific in different areas with specific information. There are different ways in which this output is shown. So you have tables, which are kind of a summary but with specific information as well. These are not visual, so you can't visually see which kind of area is higher than the other. With a pie diagram, it's more different. You can visually see which piece is bigger or smaller, but it's not specific, so you don't actually know the exact amount of each piece. The bar chart is one of the most reliable ways to show information, as it shows, like the table, it shows the amount each piece has. At the same time, it also shows you a visual effect of which piece is bigger, which is good for managers and employees. A graph is a little different because it's more like a line graph. It's shown horizontally and can only be used for continuous data. So the next guideline is layout, and this means that you need balanced information, therefore meaning you don't want too much information crammed into one small space. You want everything evenly set up, which looks better and is more efficient. So some information may be printed in landscape or portrait orientations, but changes between these should not be frequent. Printed output can be designed using a printer spacing chart, which is very helpful when you want to have a hard copy. You also have much less information which can be displayed on a monitor with a screen resolution of 800 by 600 than with a 1024 by 768 screen resolution, because screen resolution can vary from different devices. You want to make sure you're using the right one for your kind of output design, because you don't want too much credit into that one small space or too little in that one large screen resolution. So to fix this, the screen output can be designed using a screen spacing chart. This is similar to printer spacing chart, but the number of columns and rows would be different. Last, you got size of output and its limitations. For example, for checkouts in supermarkets, the device on the till has a very small screen, meaning it can only print out a small amount, so it concentrates more on printing out the information than making it looking attractive, therefore making it more efficient. If it was larger, it'd be able to print out the information while making it look attractive, but due to its small size, it's limited. So the next guideline of output design is timing. This means that the data should be up to date and not outdated. Um, the output should always be provided a quick rate. You don't want it to be inactive, and the regeneration of it should also be updated usually. It's important for this fast rate of output generation to occur because things like real-time applications need that kind of output design. And the last guideline is accessibility. This is connections. The first one is connection speed. So you got to make sure you got a fast connection speed. Otherwise, things like videos on your output design may not buffer properly. And we also got to think about physical access because not everyone has easy access to communication and distribution systems, and you got to take that in mind when doing output design. Um, People with disabilities have restricted vision or hearing or are physically disabled, and the output design needs to be able to be informative to them as well. And last, you got encoding data, and this is using something that we do frequently when we communicate, using brief code to represent more detailed and lengthy descriptions to make it faster and more reliable for users.